So Amy writes, for anyone on the fence, just do it. Long story, but I've had rebounders from the other guys, and this is different. Not only that, in several experiences of my own and after referring others, I believe that Dave Hall's company truly is in it to help others. The customer service is astoundingly good. You will not regret this. Amy. Thank you, Amy. And Amy, if you're related to that hotel chain, let me know. I'd love to talk to them about getting a Cellerciser at the front desk counter so that people can actually check out a Cellerciser to their room, go on and use the app and have their own exercise program in the actual hotel room. And that's something we can talk about later. But anyway, Savannah writes, hello, Dave. I just got off the phone with Dr. Jerry. Jerry's not a doctor, but he's my vice president. And he absolutely made my day. He was funny, personable, and so kind. I called someone in my hometown today to ask them if they were happy with their purchase. She said that she called 5 years ago and you answered the phone. She said you were committed to people getting a Cellerciser and the customer service is something she didn't forget. I was not expecting that level of customer service, but Mr. Jerry answered the phone and he was wonderful. I'm looking forward to getting my Cellerciser and starting this journey with the twins at iJump instead. Thank you, Silvana. Thank you, Silvana, for sharing that. All right. This one's from Joe. Thanks for the info. I already own a bifold, best piece of equipment ever. Haven't missed a day of it in over a year since it arrived. Bouncing to music is the way to go. I'm almost 80. I'd swear this rebounder is keeping me alive and well. I'll be making another purchase soon as a gift for my friend. I can't thank you folks enough for the quality engineering, design, and construction of this Cellerciser. Having blown through 2 cheaper models, I appreciate this one even more. Well, Joe, thank you. We appreciate you and those comments. And many of you know the difference in the Cellerciser. All right. My experience with rebounding. This is from David. He says, during November 2020, I was trying to improve my physical condition and health. I had previously pulled my Ram 3500 truck and camper, which weighs in excess of 12,500 pounds. I was not having any success pulling my truck. For the next month, I did a lot of rebounding, focusing on rebounding on one leg at a time. My next attempt surprised me at how easy it was to make the pull. My age was 79 and body weight was about 165 pounds. During that year, I lost 36 pounds off the body fat and gained 9 pounds of muscle. And David actually sent pictures of himself. He's now in his 80s and he's 80 plus, and he says he's told me that he endorses the Cellerciser and that he's an inspiration. He's an inspiration to a great many people for letting us know that, hey, you know, I'm only 65. I want to be 85 and being able to do the same things that I'm doing now. Well, he's an inspiration. He's been doing this for several years, and I know that we all have a greater health potential. And if we're struggling to get to a certain level, give us a call. You know, there are many different approaches that we can take to Cellerciser. Okay, we read Joe already. All right, one more. This is from Judy. She says, I cannot thank you enough for teaching me through your DVDs about Cellercising. My husband very graciously agreed to buy one for me when he saw how enthusiastic I was about what I had learned on your DVDs. I have been very limited in the amount of exercise that I do on a daily basis due to an injury I sustained to my foot about 17 years ago. At that time, I trod on a very large rusty nail, and while the injury healed years later, that area of my foot became very sore, often swelled, and was so inflexible that I could not kneel with any comfort and bend it back. My worst difficulty was that any form of exercising involving my foot caused it to ache and often swell. Hence, I rarely exercised and was terribly unfit. I work in an office job full-time and have suffered terribly with back and shoulder problems. I continually go to a Bowen therapist, chiropractor, to help keep my aching back in alignment. I knew my problem was weak muscles, but I did not know what to do about it. The idea that originally interested me in the Cellerciser was that I could exercise and not hurt my foot. It worked. I have had some pain in it, but it is improving at a rapid rate. So much so that it is ever so much more flexible than it was, and it does not hurt to use it on the Cellerciser at all. The thing that has completely blown me away, though, is that when I commenced, I asked my husband to take a couple of photos of me in my bathing suit so that I could see the improvement in my physical appearance. Then last night, approximately 1 month after commencing, I again asked him to take a photo and see if I could see any improvement. Imagine my amazement to discover that a profile in the first photo, I was standing leaning slightly forward. I had no idea I was doing it and that it was not normal until I compared it to the one taken last night, and I am standing up straight. Then, to my delight, I looked at my back in the mirror this morning and noticed that my spine had changed. When I was a teenager, I was diagnosed with kyphosis, curvature of the spine outward. This is similar to scoliosis, only the spine curves outward so that it was very visible through my skin in the small of my back. This morning, I discovered that it has unbelievably straightened, or at least it appeared like that to me. It does not appear to protrude at all, but while I can still feel that it is curved and not yet normal, the change is truly amazing. I thought Cellercising would help with my fitness, muscle development, toning, and balance, but I had no idea that it helped to straighten my spine or cause me to stand up straighter. So thank you 1,000 times. Kind regards, Judy. And thank you, Judy. And yes, it has been known to do that. In fact, in my own personal case, I'm 3/4 of an inch taller than I've ever been in my entire adult life. We've had other people who had lost height and regained it, and they've written me. They believe, like I do, that the Cellerciser had a lot to do with that. We talk about the back. We talk about imbibing the discs and the vertebral joints through this movement up and down, which moves fluid through the body. And as you're moving fluid through the body, you can target certain areas of the body to increase flexibility and health in joint areas as well as in muscles and ligaments. All right, Dave, these are some questions now. Dave, been kicking it up a notch on Cellerciser and left groin is bad. Can you show something that would help?
Sure.
All right. Ligaments and tendons, you want to build up the strength in ligaments and tendons, and they take time. They take longer than muscles. So we have to give them that time. And we don't want to do any kick-outs or things like that that's going to put a strain on it while it's healing. But simple movements, up and down here, side to side, is a great technique. Gently twisting in the hip socket area, right here, that's also a great technique. All of that is not putting a lot of stress on the groin, but is going to be focusing more on massaging that area, increasing flexibility, circulation, reducing inflammation, and promoting healing. And the rocking side to side can also be helpful. And that's done on the Cellerciser, the hip rock, we call it, where you just kind of rock side to side. And I want you to listen to this, because we still have people out there that are complaining about how squeaky the Cellerciser is. Guys, mine's built just like yours is. So again, if you see people doing it, thank you. I've watched the competition disparage our unit for years. And I've had even customers say, so what if it's squeaky? It works. But it doesn't have to be. You put a couple of drops of oil at both ends of each spring, and you can hear how quiet that is. And the neat thing about it is that as over time, as you continue to use it, that oil and that steel rubbing against steel polishes the steel, and it can make it quieter and quieter. But initially, yeah, there's steel rubbing against steel, and as it's polishing, it can be a little squeaky. You're breaking it in. That's no biggie. All right. I have a bit of congestion in my chest right now from what I am pretty sure is just an old-fashioned cold. In doing the deep bounce, deep breath in, out routine this morning, I found myself wondering if I might be driving the congestion deeper instead of breaking it up. Any thoughts? Well, one of them, I've had the same thought, and I've wondered the same thing. But what I have found out for me is you can do shallow breathing. You don't even have to breathe that deep as you're breaking up the mucus. And my son had a cold, and he's sitting right here. I'm going to have him come up in a moment. You may remember him. He was on the Cellerciser. He's probably about that tall. That was about a year ago. He's not that tall anymore. He's 13 years old, and he's a good-looking, kind, one of the neatest guys that I personally have ever known, and is my son. And I can say that with sincerity. He's just super kind and super thoughtful of so many people. But I want to... I got sidetracked. I was going to say something about that. Anyway. Oh, he had a cold, and I got the cold. So last week actually had a cold, and it was in my chest as well. So one of the things that I've been doing to break up the mucus, and it does because it gets into bronchial tubes and lungs, and it doesn't feel good, I do the deep breathing, but you can do the shallow breathing. But when I do the breathing, within just a few minutes, I'm getting rid of the mucus. I can feel it coming out of the chest. So I do it a lot, and I'm going to continue to do it until I have my bronchial tubes open and strong. One of the things I want to do is build up and strengthen my lungs. So I exercise them, and the Cellerciser exercises our lungs, and it opens up bronchial tubes. And I want those lungs to be stronger. The immune system has memory, and so I want all parts of my lung to be strong and healthy. But you can start off just that shallow breathing, or you can go deeper. I generally go deeper, and I'll do it to the count probably 10 or 15 times while I'm getting my lungs stronger again. When I did this a couple weeks ago, my lungs were very open, very strong, and then I got the cold, and it put him down for quite a while too. So, but again, the breathing is like this. And it's sounding much better already. But that does. I believe that it helps break up that mucus and increase oxygen. And as we increase oxygen, that's a healthy thing for the lungs and in the fight against viruses and bacteria as well. So, hi David, is there anything that can be done for the sound of locusts afar off in each ear? This only started about a month ago, just like all of a sudden. Thank you for all you teach us. I very much enjoy your time in live program. Thank you. And thank you for those comments. The ear, it has circulation too. It builds up wax. It's got, a little bone in there. We've got a lot of vestibular balance and fluid moving up and down. And we often take it for granted. It is my belief, and again, I'm not giving this out as medical advice. You can check with a doctor. But if you I start off just gently massaging the ear and around the ear. I'm moving fluid up and down. If I'm losing circulation, and I think that is key to so many issues that we have today, is poor circulation. As I increase the movement up and down, I was moving fluid. And as I massage those areas, just grab the ear in little circles, gently to begin with, okay? Gently, because it can be like cleaning up a bedroom. You might make it worse before you make it better. But if there's wax and things out there, it's gonna help break that down some. And should help us to expel it. So that's my opinion, my feeling. All right. Hi, Dave. I've been on my Cellerciser since October. I still cannot do the whippy ski patrol. My ankles and knees are not yet there. Any recommendations? I do the Jamba run, twist, bounce, sit, bounce, stomach standing, hip rock, and fun. Thanks for making such a great product. Okay, so ankles and knees. Yes, and those, again, especially if we haven't been real active, and then all of a sudden we start to be active, and then we notice these weaknesses that we didn't know that were there because we hadn't been challenging the body like that yet. If we want to challenge the body more, we want to start to strengthen our body to be able to challenge it and enjoy various activities. So standing on the Cellerciser, the number one technique, lifting the heels up and down. When you're lifting the heels up and down, you're working under the arch of the foot, you're working the ankles of the foot, you're working the calf muscles. And that's helping to pump circulation and create more strength. Standing on the Cellerciser and simply rocking side to side. It's going to work the hips as well as the knees. So you're working hips, thighs, and the knees. If you're doing, so the hip rock is really good. If you can't jump side to side, that's all right, but you're getting a lot of that same movement right here. And then walking in place on the Cellerciser, you're just pushing down into the mat. That's all going to be done with the thighs and the knees. Simple techniques, but very effective until we can do the jumping side to side. But again, the precursor, just hip rock, side to side. And when I started Cellercising, my toes feel like numb. Is it normal? Cellerciser is very good at helping to expose weaknesses. If you start to challenge an area of the body that is weak, the Cellerciser is not going to cause the weakness, but it's going to help expose that weakness that was probably already there, you just didn't know it. So on the Cellerciser, as you're moving up and down, lifting the heels up and down, you're working the toes. As you're doing the twist, you're working the toes. If you want a little additional support, then you can get a soft-soled slipper. Just a soft-soled slipper. Put that on your foot so your foot still has plenty of flexibility. And that can offer a little additional support while you're building up that circulation and the strength and the fascia within the foot itself. Brooklyn, any questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
I recently lost 30 pounds in about 8 weeks by changing my diet and using the Cellerciser. I now have some areas of extra skin. Are there any ways to get those areas toned back up?
Okay, so she's lost about 30 pounds. She's in 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. Very good. Well, that's rivaling some people we know, Brooklyn. That's pretty good. As they're losing weight, when you're Cellercising, as you're losing the weight, it helps to firm the skin, the collagen, and the fascia, because you're putting weight on the skin cells at the same time you're losing the weight. If all you're doing is losing weight, but you're not exercising the skin, then often the skin becomes looser. That's one of the advantages of Cellercise. Beyond that, it's just a movement up and down. Movement up and down helps to firm, strengthen, increase that circulation. It can vary as to the degree of improvement, but we've heard stories across the gamut. So it sounds like you're doing fine if you're continuing to lose the weight and you're Cellercising. I believe you're doing the very best option available for naturally helping increase the flexibility of the skin, the strength of the skin, and the circulation to the skin at the same time. So good job. Anything else, Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there someone I could talk to about the possibility of Cellercise helping my granddaughter who has Fried-Reaches ataxia? So it's degeneration degeneratization of the spinal cord, peripheral nerves, and the cerebellum portion of the brain.
Yeah, okay. So we're talking about cerebral spinal fluid, increasing circulation, helping to reduce degeneration. There are a couple of things that come to mind. And to, again, share this with your doctor. And I teach doctors these same movements. So one of them, and you see me do it, Justice, come on over here. Let's have you do it. All right, we're going to have you sit down right here on the Cellerciser. Put your feet up here. And for lack of a better pillow, just go ahead and lie down like that. All right, so my little 13-year-old son was almost as tall as I am. Okay, move your hands out to the side. All right. This, I can't tell you how incredible this movement is. And you need everybody, I hope everybody has a chance to experience this, because we're taking the vertical pressure off of the back by laying down horizontally. The nerves, the muscles, everything can relax. Then we're going to massage, but not a surface massage. This is a deep massage. It's working through the whole back. So as I'm gently pushing down into the mat, Justice is gently moving up and down. And it's extremely relaxing. But as we are massaging, as the body can relax, we can open up the vertebral joints, increase more circulation to the disc, take pressure off of the nerves. And we do this for several minutes. And then I rock side to side. And as I rock side to side, his hips gently roll. That further loosens up the muscles along the vertebral joints to the disc, but it's also helping to move circulation to the spinal cord as well. So that gentle side-to-side motion helps to massage all the internal organs at the same time. And then back and forth, just like that. That's one of the, especially if you have a subluxation or a pinched nerve or a disc issue, this is offered wonderful. I mean, it's just incredible support for people. Okay, pull your knees forward you and roll to the side normally, but come on. All right, buddy. I'll have him back in a minute. Go ahead, sit down. That's one. Another technique is this pumping movement. It's done by rocking side to side and lifting the shoulders up and down. It creates a pumping action, and that pumping action is often felt right along the back in the spinal column. But it's gentle. I mean, you can start off real gentle. And then as you get a little more flexible, you can put a little bit more effort into it. There's techniques involved in that, such as when I rock, I take this leg and hip and I kind of pull it this direction. So it's like that. And as I'm pulling it, I'm getting more stretch in the different areas of the back. So that's another one that creates a pumping action. You're moving up and down, which is moving fluid up and down. The muscles can help move that fluid back between the vertebral joints, through the spinal column, up to the brain stem. As I take my fingers, and we've actually got some of these movements on the new app. Well, they will be. You can do these little circular motions to help increase the circulation around the brain stem there and the atlas, and helping to get rid of the stress and tension, increase circulation. Obviously, this is the second most important activity I teach people that we can do on the Cellerciser, because as I'm gently twisting side to side, I'm loosening up the back, the vertebral joints along the disc. Putting the colon, the intestines through a little washing machine effect every day, loosening up the hip area, because I can actually not just twist at the waist. I mean, twisting the waist is okay, but what I do is I actually take my heel and I twist and move. I work in the hip socket area at the same time. So that helps to improve the dynamic of what that technique can do to help. I hope that's helpful. Brooklyn, any others?
Can Cellercise strengthen the feet so we don't need arch support?
Oh yeah. Can Cellercise strengthen the feet so we don't need arch support? I've seen that happen a lot. In fact, we have people that were flat-footed, and they started Cellercising, and for the first time in years, while they were on the kitchen floor, they said they noticed that they were building up arches underneath their feet. Muscles, bones, and ligaments in the feet want to be flexible enough to move to support our natural alignment. When we wear shoes, they're more restrictive. Then we go out and we do something more, we put more exertion on the body, and the body doesn't have that flexibility, then we can end up tearing the fascia and creating other foot problems. When we're on the Cellerciser and we start to move up and down, the foot starts to move, and the bones and muscles and ligaments start to move and become more flexible to support your natural alignment. As we're lifting the heels up and down, we're working the muscles underneath the foot as well. And there's other things we can do too, but the Cellerciser is working on the feet the whole time that you're on it. As you're doing different movements, muscles and ligaments are all moving again to support your natural alignment. One of the reasons I say barefoot, socks, or soft-soled slippers are best is because shoes can be restrictive. And when you're on a Cellerciser and your feet are moving to support your natural alignment, the shoe can actually get in the way, and it can cause the foot discomforture from that. So it can be a process. It takes time. You may notice little kinks that come and go over time. That's not unusual. And if it becomes serious or a condition or an issue, then of course consult with your doctor. Any others, Brooklyn?
For someone that has migraine headaches, would you recommend Cellercise?
Oh, have you been to our website? You should read some of the customer reviews of people that have migraine headaches and what their experience with the Cellerciser has been. We know that movement up and down breaks up blockages, opens up and increases circulation. As we break up blockages and we increase circulation, very often the symptoms, conditions, issues, or discomforture that we have in all areas of the body can slowly fade away. So Cellercise has been known to be extremely helpful with those issues. Again, I can't prescribe to you, so I'm hesitant to say what you can and can't do. What I can say is this story. We had a lady who, and many of you have heard me tell this story, this is just one, but she heard me on the radio, and she decides to get a Cellerciser. She called me up first. She said, can I Cellercise? And I said, can you walk? And she said, no, not really. I'm bedridden. I'm on, I think we just talked about this. Laura said lidocaine, Vitacaine, morphine. She had a tremor disease. She couldn't hold a glass of water steady. I said, you're going to need some help getting on and off of it. And, but, you're welcome to try it for 30 days and tell me what you think. Well, 30 days go by, 60, 90, 2.5 months later, I get a 2-page handwritten letter. It's in our website, cellercise.com /customer review or /reviews. It'll take you right there. But you can go to our website and find it too. And if you look up headaches or migraines, you'll see her story. And you'll see her handwritten letter. 3.5 months later, I received a handwritten letter from her. Her handwriting is better than mine. I can actually read it. And in that, she tells her story. She'd had 46 days straight of migraines and another 64 days straight of migraines. And then she says in the letter that for the first time since 1958, she says, I'm totally migraine-free. I'm off all pain medications. The tremor disease that she had was gone. And for the first time in 4 years, she's able to paint again. I love the last paragraph because she just praises the Lord over and over. And then thanks him for us and for her new lease on life. Her name's Glenda. So, feel free to read those. And again, Cellercise opens up circulation. We don't always know what's causing migraines. So again, if you have a medical condition of any sort, check with your doctor, health practitioner first, and let them know about the Cellerciser and see what they have to advise you. Go ahead, Ricky. Any others?
Would the Skechers brand soft sole sneaker be okay to use? Recently broke a couple toes and feel better with some support.
I'm not familiar with it, but if you think it was flexible, similar to that slipper, and it's not going to restrict your foot movement, then sure. Yeah, if it's more of a heavier shoe that is more restrictive, you may end up with other foot issues. So I just caution you on that. Because the foot wants to move on a Cellerciser with that type of mat material. That's a unique mat material. It doesn't resist any pronation. But if you move, the springs in that mat, which you cannot stretch out, that will move to support you. And again, for those who don't know, that mat material is a space-age material made here in the United States. It's a polypropylene where every fiber is put under nearly 200 tons of pressure. It's so incredibly dense that it resists the pronation of your feet, which is very important when you're doing different movements. It's also weather resistant, so they make swimming pool covers out of it now because it's UV resistant. I use it because I want to make sure your feet are going to be well supported in the different movements when you alter the angle of your body in different positions so that it's very well supported. Anything else, Bricky?